So today we're taking a little bit more of a look at the discussion for Modern Warfare 3 as we push towards August and what will be that reveal month here. And recently we discussed some small confirmations on big things from Modern Warfare 3 from the official Call of Duty social accounts. However, while some of that attached logic and reasoning to those confirmations has been explicitly mentioned, one big question that still lingers on the topic of content transferring from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3 is, well, maps. Today we're going to be breaking this down, what we know in regards to and what we've heard about this, and what the outcome could be for Modern Warfare 3 in full. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Would you like to see weapons, operators, bundles, and maps transfer over to Modern Warfare 3? What do you hope to see beyond that for Modern Warfare 3? What are the case? Drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you'll find it at all insightful. Do me a favor and drop a like on it. As well, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 3, XDefiant, and more FPS content ahead of both of those games' respective reveals and launches, as well as more. We're getting a lot closer to that kind of stuff, so if you'd like to stay in the loop with all of it, join the community. I'd love to have you. And finally, check out my friends over at G Fuel for 30% off your order with code ESPRESSO on things like the tubs of hype sauce, MS Melon, hibiscus tea, and others, as well as starter packs linked below. But that said, let's jump into it. So let's start at the very beginning, shall we? First reported by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, it was reported, quote, Activision's goal is for the new Call of Duty to feel like a standalone, full-priced release and also an extension of Modern Warfare 2, said people familiar with the project. The current plan is for the game to carry over maps and modes from last year's shooter, the people said, although they cautioned that plan may change again between now and the release this fall. Now, this, among other things, was taken pretty interestingly when it was announced, as Jason Schreier is a renowned insider in the industry, not just for Call of Duty leaks, and honestly, that's probably one of the more smaller subsets that he's known for. We in our community here just kind of know him for that because he talks about COD leaks, but his overall track record's impeccable, even just with his prior reporting on things like Call of Duty. So it's something when this came out, it was like, okay, well, that's a huge detail we can't really overlook and sounds pretty cool and seemed legit. That was all that we heard about content transferring for a while from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3. It was kind of inferred that we'd see more than just maps and modes if we got that, but nothing was really ever reported until recently. Of course, last week we ended up seeing a whole ton leak out for Modern Warfare 3, weaponry, gear, outbreak, zombie stuff, and all kinds of stuff that goes along with that. And one of the big things that was a topic of discussion was the content transfer of a lot of stuff. And to combat a lot of the leaks happening, it seemed like COD was kind of just like, screw it, let's just say something official to take some of the heat and attention off of it. The official COD account then tweeted, as we discussed, let's get this out of the way. Should Modern Warfare 2 operators, weapons, and bundles carry forward into Call of Duty 2023 with options exclusively for yes and yes when is the reveal? No single, no option. And if that's not enough to give you that confirmation that we'd see that stuff happen, later the following day, they followed up by saying, look for the first details of the redacted reveal event in the Season 5 announcement and additional Modern Warfare 2 carry forward details soon. Now, just a quick note here on that, the way that's worded, it kind of seems like it's all in one, but I wouldn't expect both those things to be introduced here in the Season 5 announcement blog. Instead, for that kind of stuff, I'd say the announcement for the reveal event would just be like, hey, we got something redacted coming a little later on in the season, blah, blah, like that kind of stuff that they do, hinting towards like raid episodes at the seasonal launch, even though that comes at mid-season. Not saying the reveal will happen at the mid-season event, but just kind of that vague, very brief wording on it. And that additional carry forward details, I'm not really expecting anything on that until after the reveal event. Maybe in conjunction with that, but again, still a little ways down the line. But there you had it. Operators, weapons, and bundles are all, to some degree, carrying forward to Modern Warfare 3. But then, what gives? Because that initial report from an industry insider who rarely gets things entirely wrong, don't know that I've actually even ever seen that from Jason Schreier, but why were maps not considered in that? Will they then be coming? Because that's a sharp drop from mention of maps and modes only to then seeing neither of those mentioned officially, instead being replaced with operators, weapons, and bundles. Now, when asked about this explicitly, Jason Schreier simply mentioned some question mark. Now, here's the thing. The initial report did state, although they cautioned that plans may change again between now and the release. So on one hand, absolutely it could be something that the plans changed entirely. Scale-wise, I'm sure that maps are a much larger upheaval than things like operators, cosmetics, and weaponry. And as such, that's where we can get into the dreaded topic of, well, file sizing. Granted, comparatively, there's already going to be, presumably at least, a large weight off the application's shoulders, given that Warzone is not going to be tied to Modern Warfare 3, or seemingly it's not going to be based off of what we've heard. Seems like Modern Warfare 3 is going to be its own application, as Modern Warfare and Warzone was in 2019, as Black Ops Cold War is independent, as Vanguard was independent, and then seeing things transferred into Warzone later on. So that would mean that you don't have to deal with the likes of Al Mazrah, Ashika Island, Building 21, Koshi Complex, and Vondel, all hogging resources and storage for the game, and that's got to be, like, I think Warzone in the base game for Modern Warfare 2, if you just have those two things installed, I think it's around like 50 to 60 gigabytes if my memory serves me correctly. So sure, you're going to be saving that much in space by not having other resources for large-scale maps like that, but when you think about the consumer's hard drive space, maps are absolutely going to be bigger in space, more so compared to weaponry, operators, and cosmetics. So it's possible the initial plan was to include all of those. Maybe it may not go accordingly simply because of that. So with Schreier's mention of some, perhaps it's simply due to the sizing issues, where the accommodation to make maps transfer is still being consciously evaluated, but the prospect of making them all come to Modern Warfare 3 just may simply be a reality that isn't feasible. Now, if that's the case, well then, here's where I want to turn to my personal hopes for the maps. If we see any maps transferred over, honestly, first ones that I'd like to see, and this might sound strange, but we'll get to why in just a second, is the maps we've already seen remastered from this game, added in on top of that base of what we've heard now for over a year that would be those 2009 Modern Warfare 2 remastered maps. But I also want to see new maps added into the fold as well. At least make it look like we're going to be seeing new content here within Modern Warfare 3 for multiplayer. So if we're taking remasters that already exist, that'd be things like Shoot House, Shipment, Dome, Showdown. That way we don't see them introduced later on under the guise of new content for seasons. Give us actual new content. Yes, that base of the Modern Warfare 2 2009 remastered maps is basically inevitable at this point, it seems like. I still want to see new maps introduced on top of all of that, but if it's going to happen, if we have this base of remastered maps as the core, again, do not get it twisted. I do want new maps too, and I really hope there are some with the launch of Modern Warfare 3, but if it's just, say, theoretically like a 75-25 split of remastered maps, the bulk of which coming from Modern Warfare 2 2009, and new maps introduced for this upcoming Modern Warfare 3 before the inclusion of maps transferred from this year's Modern Warfare 2, I'd much rather them take the remaster, the likes of Shipment, Shoot House, Dome, and Showdown for Modern Warfare 2, and transfer those immediately over when we're already expecting a massive bulk of remastered maps, in place of that happening later on down the line when we'd hope to see new content post-launch. I think we need content post-launch that's genuinely new. That's my biggest gripe that I've had with the post-launch of Modern Warfare 2 this year by far. You're free to disagree with my opinion on that being one of the big problems, but since launch, objectively, bear in mind, this is 9 months later almost, we've had a whopping total of 3 new maps introduced for multiplayer outside of Gunfight. 4 if you want to count Penthouse introduced, but those only including Expo, Lighthouse, and Hatchery. 3 in almost 9 months. And you could probably go a step further and say that Hatchery isn't even original since it's a modified version of the campaign mission Recon by Fire, but realistically, I'm less bothered by that one since campaign maps have always been a jumping off point for multiplayer maps for as long as COD has been in existence. But besides that, we've had Shoot House and Shipment, both maps we've seen before in Modern Warfare 2019 and before, Dome, a direct reuse from Observatory and Al Mazrah, Valderas Museum, which is a Modern Warfare 2 original, but since it was in the beta and removed thanks to copyright, I don't count that as new post-launch content. Black Gold is just the nighttime version of Rohan Oil, repurposed. Kunstanar District and Vondel Waterfront are both direct repurposes and reused locations from Vondel, a map that Infinity Ward didn't even create. And Showdown, again, a map that we've seen directly pulled from Al Mazrah that was before that taken from the classic in COD 4. So in as nice a way as I can put it, seeing that, I do truly wonder what Infinity Ward does day to day in terms of multiplayer content. Like, I don't even mean to be offensive with that, though I guess there's really not a way to say that without coming off as offensive, but in 9 months to only see 3 original maps made specifically for this game and multiplayer in particular, that's just wrong, man. So my hopes are for the maps that if we see any maps at all transfer, let them be the ones that would take away from new content elsewhere, especially whenever we're expecting a bulk of remastered maps to begin with. Again, that's assuming we already see new maps introduced in this game on top of the 2009 remasters, but give us a whole year of the majority of maps post-launch being original. I just want new content again, man, not repurposed or remakes branded as new, which is, yes, ironic calling Modern Warfare 3 new with a remaster remastered map pack base, but that's been announced since like before Modern Warfare 2 even launched. So at that point, that is inevitable, but the future, that's the question mark that's still open and has potential. So please give us new maps. But anyways, that's where we're at here with this. That is the still big question mark that does remain for Modern Warfare 3 and the content transfer and what we see beyond that. So that is where we're going to wrap everything up. But before we do, make sure to check out my friends over at G Fuel. Code Espresso gets you 30% off your entire order of things like Hype Sauce, Hibiscus Tea, MS Melon Tubs, as well as starter kits. So if you guys want to grab a restock, try something out for the very first time, now's as best a time as any. Link in the description below if you guys are at all interested. But that said, that's going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below. What maps are you hoping to see transfer to Modern Warfare 3, if any at all? Would you like to see them transfer all of them, some of them, or maybe none? Whatever the case, drop it down below. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 3 as we push towards the reveal event here at some time in the near future. And then, of course, it's probably going to snowball real quickly after that, where we start to learn more about the campaign, see gameplay for multiplayer, and then next thing we know, it'll be November and the game's releasing. So hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with all things regarding that. But that said, thanks so much for watching Honest Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.